I'm Leslie Rao from the University of Arizona Counseling and Psych Services, and I want to talk to you today about social anxiety. Social anxiety is the fear of being judged, criticized, rejected, or negatively evaluated in a social situation. For many people with social anxiety, this feels a lot worse in a bigger group or with new people. Now, some of the common fears that go with social anxiety are being teased, being rejected, being negatively evaluated, and this can show up in situations like having to speak up for yourself, speak in front of a large group, being introduced, or doing something where you're the center of attention. Now, a lot of people with social anxiety would also say that the feelings of social anxiety themselves can cause anxiety because they're worried that people can tell how nervous they are. Now, many people might feel nervous about these kinds of things here and there. What makes it different with social anxiety is just how much you feel this and how much it begins to affect your life. With social anxiety, this can feel relentless, like it doesn't stop, that you feel anxious in all of these situations and the anxiety doesn't go away. And over time, this can really get in the way of you just living your life because you start avoiding things, even things that you really want to do. So as I said, I have 4 powerful tips for you for overcoming this anxiety. My first tip for you is to breathe. I know it sounds simple, but it really is powerful. Breathing is 100% portable, natural, automatic. You're doing it right now. All you need to do now is to make it more strategic. Now, although breathing is natural, we don't always do it in the most calming way when we're feeling anxious. When you're feeling anxious, it can often feel like you're breathing into your chest and shoulders, and it's really tight and shallow. And in fact, it feels so bad that we get anxious about that. So you can turn this around by focusing on belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, or you might even hear it as deep breathing. Breathe so that the air goes all the way down, like you're filling up your belly, kind of like inflating a balloon. Practice on inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. It's really great to practice this even when you're not anxious because anxiety has a way of wiping away our memory for these kinds of things, and the more practice you get, the better. So take a few minutes every day or so and just practice taking a few calming breaths. My second tip for you is to focus on creating rather than avoiding. Now, when we're anxious, we're stuck in avoidance mode all the way. It's all about what we don't want to happen, what we don't want to do, what we don't want to sound like, what we want to avoid. And this can make changes in the way you make decisions and often leads us to avoid the situation. Now, think instead about what you'd like to create and give yourself positive instructions for what to do. Think about what you want to get out of the situation, what you want to learn, how you want to grow. When you do this, you get out of that avoidance mindset. You're not as likely to avoid the situation, and you're kind of coaching yourself through doing the thing that's making you anxious, knowing that you're going to feel anxious, but that it does take practice to get to where you want to be. That leads us perfectly into tip number 3, which is practice. Just like anything new or scary or challenging in life, you've got to practice to get from where you are to where you want to be. Think about when you learned to ride a bike. You probably started off on a tricycle, and you graduated up to training wheels, and then eventually you took those off. But even then, it was a little wobbly, a little awkward for a while. That's how it is when we learn anything new. So let it be wobbly and awkward when you're overcoming your social anxiety. Practice at the training wheels level. Make small talk at the grocery store. Talk to somebody on the bus. Then you move up to maybe introducing yourself or raising your hand, and know that it will probably be uncomfortable for a little while. That's okay. It's just like when you were learning to ride that bike. Now, when you're out there practicing, you can keep this final tip in mind. It's not about you. I know. When you're anxious, it feels like everything's about you. What do you look like? What do you sound like? Are you standing funny? What are they thinking? Can they tell you that you're nervous? Breathe. Remember, it's not about you. Focus outside of yourself. What do the walls look like? What does the air feel like? Where are you? What are people doing? What are they talking about? This simple trick can tone down that anxiety fast and keep you in the situation rather than in your own head. Okay guys, there you have it. 4 powerful tips for boosting your confidence and overcoming anxiety. Remember to breathe, focus on creating rather than avoiding, practice, and keep in mind that it's not about you.